First, I'm going to get some sort of string. I happen to be using some twine for bookbinding. There's two different ways that you can do these. I have this one that's really wide, and then I have a very long one. This one would be really good for making a bookmark or something. You can make a flat piece of fabric if you wanted to just do on one side. If you wanted to do on both sides, you can make some sort of little pocket. So we have the small one and we have the large one. And this will be done exactly the same way, just with using more string. The first one I'll make it the most simple. I don't have to pre-measure my string like I do with the other, with the circle. I'm going to grab a piece of tape. I need to be close to one of the edges to get started. I'm taping it down to the back. The notches are right here. I'm going to go straight down. Again, this is the one-sided one. On the back, I'm going to hook it just on that little notch right there. Now I'm going to go straight. I'm going to hook it on this little notch and go straight down. This will be the front of my weaving, and the back will just have tape and little bitty places where the string crosses over the notches. So I continue this. Make sure you only have one string per line. You don't want to double up any of these. I'm going all the way to the last notch. On this last one, I will put it right through here, and I will tape it to the back. And now I can cut off any extra string. And now my loom is ready for weaving. For our one-sided weaving, we want to go ahead and select a yarn. On this, you don't want to have too long of a piece. I usually recommend about 36 inches, which would be about 3 ruler lengths. So here we go. So my ruler's a little bit longer, so I'll just go to 12 inches. So 12, 24, 36. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and go 48, just so I have a little bit more string. I don't want too much string though, because that can really cause a problem and get tangled into your warp threads, and so that can be really frustrating to work with. I'll get started with this. Again, on this time, I'm actually going to start on the left and go to the right. So my yarn, I'm going to leave just a small little tail, maybe the size of my finger, and attach it through the first notch. Because this one's one-sided, I'm going to tape it on the back. There are multiple ways to get here, so if you would prefer tying knots or you know another way, that is great too. Okay, the other end of my yarn, I'm going to attach to a weaving needle. I can also use my fingers if I don't have that available. This one's the one that's about 6 inches long. They come in all different lengths. I'm going to take this end of my yarn, going through the hole, and I'm tying a temporary knot, which is the first knot that you usually use when you're tying your shoe. So crosses over, comes through the back. There you go. Now you're ready to begin weaving. Starting here at the bottom, going left to right. So I'm going over the gray thread, under the gray thread, over the gray thread, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over the gray thread, under, over, under, over, under, and I need to make sure to pull my needle all the way through. Down here, I want to pull this all the way through. Okay. The only string that should be going around the back is that one little tail that you have to begin with. I'm doing a one-sided weaving, so I'm going to be going back and forth in a string. I want to go the opposite direction. I'm doing a checkerboard pattern. So this was under the gray, over the gray. So I'm coming back and I'm going under the gray. I'm going the opposite, over. You might need to use your fingers. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay, I'm pulling this gently. One of the most common things that happens with our weavings is that they start to get smaller. They start pinching here in the middle, and that can be a little bit frustrating. One of the things that I like to do is, just like I would hold a guitar string where I would hold it right here, I'm going to pull this so that the strings stay evenly spaced. If I don't do that, I'll start pulling it together and my strings will start getting crossed at some point. So I'm just going to loosen that. Okay. Notice how it's making a curved line right now. So I know now to go, this one is under the gray, so now I want to go over. Pull this all the way through and put my finger on the guitar string here. And I go through. So it looks like a letter S right now. This one is over the gray string, so I want to go under, over. Hold onto my guitar string here. And it's starting to look like a snake. After I've done this for a few rows and I feel confident with my weaving, I can take my fingers just like I would take my fingers when I'm combing through my hair, and I can comb this down to the bottom. Continue on with my weaving. Right now my black is under the gray, so now I want to go over, under, over, under. Hold my guitar string and pull. Okay, this is over the gray right now, so now I want to go under, over. Hold the guitar string so it doesn't pull too tight. You can comb it down. And notice that I have just a little bit of string left, and so I want to go ahead and untie this from the needle. And I want to get another piece of yarn. Again, I'm going to do about 48 inches. So I have 1 ruler length, 2, 3, 4, and cut. I'm going to tie one end of my string. I'm going to tie these over, so my turquoise is on the top right now. It's going to go behind the black. Now my black is going to cross over my turquoise, go around through the back, pull through the hole, and pull. Okay. The other end of my string, I'm going to stick through the hole, tie a temporary knot, and continue weaving. Right now my black is underneath my gray, so now I want to go over, under, over. When the knot is going, whenever you get to the knot, it's going to just go ahead and pull right through. I would not trim your knot until we get to the very end. So over the gray, under. I just want to show you the back. Notice the back still only has 1 string. If you have any string that's coming around the back, you need to stop and back up a little bit so that you can get your weaving back on track. This is an example of using way more yarn than the 48 inches. I got impatient and wanted to do more yarn, but the problem for me is that it starts to get tangled and it takes a lot longer to pull through, which ends up usually slowing me down again. Notice that I made a mistake, so I'm going to go back the way I came. And if I look at this row right here before, I went under, over, 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 under, over, under. So now I'm going to go back through here. And pull this out. I usually continue weaving until I get about 3/4 of the way up the board. To start taking my weaving off of the loom. So I'm going to start up here on the top. I'm going to turn this around. Notice that I have quite a bit of gray string here. I'm going to cut 2 strings at a time. I want to cut it as far down as I can because I want to have enough string to be able to tie a knot easily. So I'm just cutting the first 2 strings. I'm going to do a knot, a double knot. So cross over, just like you're tying your shoe, and then I need to cross over one more time and tie and pull it really tight for the second one. Okay, going to cut the next 2 strings way down here, cross over once, cross over twice, and pull really tight on the second one, not the first one. next two. One and two. Tight this time. One and two. For this last one, I'm going to tie the turquoise yarn that I have here with the gray that's left over from the work threads. So it should look like this for now. I'm not going to trim it until I get to the very end. For now, I'm just going to leave the tails on here. Now I'm going to turn the board the other direction. And for this, I need to push my threads up just a little bit so that I have a little bit of room to tie the knots. So again, I just want to do two at a time. And really tight on the second time. If you ever have 3 left over, I go ahead and cut all 3 of those. I'm going to take 2 of the threads together and actually just put them together like they're one thread. And then the third thread is over here. So just tie together like a regular knot. Once, and on the second time, make sure to pull really tight. And then it looks like I still have this part that's taped on the back. I'll pull that out. My board is empty again. I can put that to the side. The string, I can either trim it or I can just tie to the closest thread. Okay, now time to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to trim these knots, or not the knot actually itself, but the extra string. I just try to leave a little bit of room between that and the knot because I feel like when I cut too close to the knot, it's easy for it to come undone. Make sure that they're secure. Leave just a tiny bit of room. To create a regular folded pouch, I'm going to take some of my yarn and I'm going to put it through my needle again. I have this fabric folded. I'm going to have to go through 2 layers of fabric, or 2 layers of the weaving right here. Come in just a little bit. I'm going to pull my thread. All the way through. Tying a knot, a double knot. Okay, with my other end. I'm going to go down just a couple of threads, pull through, so I went from the back to the front with this. Now I'm going to take my needle and stick it through that hole. And pull this. Come down just a tiny bit more. Through the back. It's going through both layers. Pulling this up. It's going to be leaving a little bit of a loop right here. Take my needle, go through the hole, and pull tight.